we have to, I can restream you.
Okay, should we try it now and see how we do?
Yeah.
Looks better. Yeah, sounds a lot better. Looks like that fixed it.
Excellent. All right, so thank you very much, everyone, for bearing with. As you know, with these live marathons and with, Twitch, these things happen. So we appreciate your understanding, and we appreciate you sticking around. And Rivers, I think I'll have you talk about what's going on here in this tower.
Cool. So while the stream was having major audio problems, we picked up the dwarf axe as well as the wizard robe and some rune rings. These are all big parts of the next kind of segment of the run. The dwarf axe in particular is kind of the latest tech as far as no64 goes. It lowers Cecil's agility. As you saw on that last back attack with the 4 flame dogs, Penguin was able to run away even though it was a back attack without taking any damage or any attacks. And that's kind of a big time save, makes the rest of this run a lot more consistent. And the dwarf axe also, as Vonnie was saying earlier, lowers relative agility and makes a lot of these boss fights at the end of the game a lot easier to play with as far as a pure nuts and bolts perspective. You saw on the way down up here, we picked up the Cat Claw. Cat Claw is going to be a big deal for the rest of this run as well, because it's another thing that boosts agility. And between the Dwarf Axe lowering agility and the Cat Claw boosting agility, we've kind of created a situation here where there's very few battles that we can't run away from. And it's going to be very beneficial for the rest of the run. Also, happens to have the wonderful effect of boosting strength as well for Monk Edward here. And Monk Edward will be exploiting a robot weakness on Dr. Luge at the top of this tower with that Cat Claw, and he will be doing insane damage for where we're at levels-wise in this section of the game because of that ultra weakness that will be hitting.
Rivers, level 17 is a good level for Yang, right?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you?
Level 17 is the good level for Yang here? Is that right?
17?
Is it 17 or 16?
I think it's 17.
I'm confused why he's not 17. But we were back and forth. I'll give him the strength ring to try to make up for the missing one.
I believe he was dead at Sisters?
That's normal.
Okay.
So yeah, we're entering the Dr. Luge fight now. Dr. Luge, this is a very highly scripted fight, even though now we know that our monk here, our Monk Edward, will not be dealing full damage because he didn't get his double multiplier here. This is still the way we've scripted ATD-wise very tight, but Kane will be doing a lot of damage to the back Luge, and our boy... I'm always going to mess this up, by the way. Monk Edward and Dragoon Edward. Monk Edward will be hitting the actual robot itself, Balnab. Balnab is ultra weak to the Thunderclaw, and this will create some pretty big damage amounts, as you'll see. Meanwhile, Tifa will be casting Titan, and Ultros and Edward Paladin version will be helping out with what they can, which is very little, but they're trying, man. They're trying. So kind of like the dolls gimmick in this fight, you don't want either Balnab or Luge to be standing up on their own very long. If that happens, they can do some very mean things with their end-of-life scripts. And thankfully, Penguin was able to skip that. But yeah, if you leave Luge alone too long, he will become a killing machine. He will decimate your party. Second form of Luge here is also a robot, so Monk Edward's Thunderclaw and Catclaw will come in handy. You'll see Titan, the Catclaw, and Thunderclaw Edward, the jumps from Kane, again. Same basic things, but in this case we've got only one target. This Dr. Luge is actually, with this setup, very consistent, very, I don't want to say easy, but it's very hard to lose characters when you're doing as much damage as our Monk Edward is. You see that beam did 99, that's the easy attack of the two. The laser that comes out later does a much higher percentage of damage based on how much HP Dr. Luge has left, which at this point is really not that much. So you're going to see probably, you might even see somebody survive it. Yeah, this did 91 damage to Monk Edward, so very good fights all around from that segment, and everything's looking good now. You get the tower key from Dr. Luge, and then you can go immediately you lose Monk Edward, because now that he's useful, why would we want to keep him? You can actually keep these poisons on as long as you want. It doesn't affect anything for a long time. However, it is annoying to watch, we know. So it's very nice that Penguin decided to spare you all.
Indeed.
Poison walks in this game.
It can absolutely bug your eye. Nothing like Final Fantasy VI with sprint shoes. That's just that is ridiculousness. But here it can still kind of make your eyes bug out.
Right. So at this point, since Paladin Edward survived this fight, you can start getting back attacks again. It's kind of something that we've tried to optimally route around. That we're not quite there yet on. I haven't spent a lot of time on this lately, honestly. And so yeah, you see that the back attacks can actually do some damage coming down here, up until we get Edge coming up. Wow, we're almost already at Edge. And at that point, Edge's Catclaws will help us outspeed the rest of the monsters that can reasonably fight us up until the Lunar Core.
Speaking of Edge, we actually did get in a donation. So we will hopefully be breaking at least a little bit of the Edward embargo here, and we'll be naming Edge Anchor, courtesy of DJ ATC.
Can you remind us all when cutoff is for that last naming incentive?
Yes, so the final naming incentive, which will be for Edge and for Fusoya, will end when we reach the moon. It will be on the first visit to the moon, correct, Penguin?
Yes.
Yes, so when we visit the moon for the first time, after we've gone to the Lunar Palace to pick up Fusoya, but before we travel down to the giant.
Life glitching here, the madman himself playing with these strats.
I'm a little worried about Cecil's level. Usually I wouldn't play glitch here.
So here's what's going on, is that when you excuse me, is that if you do fatal damage to an enemy, but as that, the attack animation for that is happening, if you use a second character to either use a life potion or to even cast the life spell on that enemy while it's still a viable target, that life will still go off. Now, because all enemies have a vitality value of 0, and your vitality value is what determines how much hit points you have when you come back to life from something like that, they will automatically become back to life with 0 hit points and then will die again. Now, why this is important is that when it comes to accumulating experience and gold for these fights, it will essentially count as another kill. So even though there were 3 imps that we saw there, he's going to get experience, he's going to get credit in the experience realm as if he killed 5 of them instead of just 3.
fun fact, if you use life 2 instead of life 1, you can bring back an enemy at full HP, actually. And any status effects they had before they were killed, they will retain. So if you happen to turn like something into a frog and then life 2, it will come back as a frog.
Which I would assume is pretty much only done for whimsy.
Well, there's some niche free enterprise uses for it too as well, yeah. But it's more just a fun little fact that I want to throw in here. So we lost Yang, or sorry, Monk Edward, and we're about to get caught here by our boy Golbez on our. This is the story-wise. We were trying to steal crystals back from Golbez, and instead we got nothing because that's how this game goes.
Now, for those of you that are fans of free enterprise, you might be sitting there tearing your hair out watching Penguin run away from eggs. Normally, if you are doing the grind in free enterprise, those eggs are exactly what you want to see in a certain section of the underground here, but we will not be using them for that purpose in this run.
Yeah, just to set expectations about the donation incentives remaining for Edge and Fuso. Yeah, I think Penguin's probably about 30 minutes away from getting to the moon at this point, give or take.
I would say that's not only is that plenty of time in order for you to shuffle around what's going on with their names, but I think that's plenty of time for us to top the $2,500 mark before the end of this run.
That would be so spicy. And there's plenty of other.
Really would.
There's plenty of other lovely things you can throw that money towards if you are so inclined. Like I said, we have naming incentives for the run, not the next one, but the run after that for Swords and Serpents. We then also have an incentive for Dragon Warrior to bring the princess to the Dragon Lord. And definitely one that I am particularly looking for, because I am the one who will be restreaming this race. We can upgrade our Final Fantasy Mystic Quest race to be 100% race instead of just an any percent race. So if you would like to see RPG Chick and Calm Lamity have to get 100% of Final Fantasy Mystic Quest, you can go ahead and you can donate towards that incentive. And that is currently my suggestion for where your money should go over the next day or so.
Yeah, watching people suffer is indeed entertaining. So, if you've never watched Final Fantasy Mystic Quest, believe me, it is pure suffering for every runner. Yeah, so Vadi making a heroic sacrifice here. Good job, Vadi.
Exactly. I decided to explode in a fiery blaze of glory for the good of the world, really. So you're welcome. Yeah,
plot-wise, this game takes another turn here where Vadi has told the crew that there is a hook waiting for them. Why he knew that we would need a hook, nobody really explains in text. But anyway, clearly the game's suggestion is to pick up the hovercraft with the hook and take it to the one area of the overworld that hasn't really been explored very much right now, which is the Eblin Cave. And our heroic runner Penguin here will be heading that way next, running into some ninja maybe.
Rule number 1, Rivers, don't question Vonnie.
I don't. I question everybody else who runs Mystic Quest, but not Vonnie.
Those are shots that were fired.
So fun little fact there with the Sid engineers, you can actually talk to either one, and either one can give you the hook. And it's actually the same number of steps, so it's same time either way. So whichever one is your favorite, if you run this game, you can take your pick.
Are we going to have another Antlion Cave style discourse about this? Which engineer is best engineer?
I don't know.
I'll stay out of it. I don't know.
I think most people don't actually know you can do both. I didn't know until I saw, I think, Creative Ellie running this game, and then he talked to the wrong engineer, in my opinion.
Ooh.
Well,
at least we know there's...
Down engineer is the only engineer for me, okay?
I think they're both lovely engineers myself, and I would talk to either one of them.
Very diplomatic of you, Stella. So we're taking this hovercraft with the hook, going in this cave now. There's a brief little moment right here where we actually will be entering a encounter-free zone, which is supposed to be kind of the remnants of what was left of Dublin Castle, these survivors, if you will. How they got here in this cave with no hovercraft is, your guess is as good as mine, but they got some good stuff in these shops, and you're going to see Penguin pick up the Ice Brand Sword and the Blizzard Spear, because conveniently enough, they were dropped in our face right before we ran into a fire boss, which will be Ruby Cant coming up very shortly.
I did my steps wrong, but I think I got it right in the end.
Yeah, you looked a little confused on that screen. So the ice shield is kind of a misnomer, actually. The way that the ice shield and the fire shield, for that matter, work is they protect against the opposite element. It doesn't really feel right textually, but that's how it ends up working. And so the ice shield picked up there will actually protect Paladin Edward from Rubicant's flare attack. And he is the only party member when you get here who has a chance of surviving it. And you will see once Penguin's able to walk through these next couple of rooms full of encounters that he will run into both Edge and Ruby for the first time, and get one of the more famous lines of this amazing localization. Big Bat?
I'm actually pretty lucky with random encounters this run.
Yeah, this has been a really nice run from the runaway perspective. I think you've had like 4 or 5.
I don't even know it's that many. And the one I did get weren't too bad.
Anyway, let me ask you guys, was it flame?
I will show you how.
Yes, it was. I believe there is a Franker Face Z emote that's basically just that second sprite of Rubicante from the waist down, and it's called "Was It Leg?"
Yeah, Ruby's leg is a great source of inspiration for, let's call them our meme lorists, who really enjoy writing stories about what's up with that leg, why does it look like that, are those veins or something else, etc. It's really a never-ending wellspring with Ruby. So at this point, we get Edge in the party, finally. These cat claws that were duped earlier now slide onto him and make him a super fast party member. That, along with the Dorfax, means that for the most part, we will not fear encounters for the rest of this run. Edge will be kind of guiding our relative agility up far enough to where we can run away from even the back attacks of anything that isn't, I think, more than two enemies. Anything more than 2 enemies, sorry. And yeah, things are looking pretty good for the party right now. This is actually kind of when you're doing this run, like on a PP attempt, this is kind of where things start really getting intense, because your pressure to stay on step route is kind of increased a lot. We're getting very close to the grind fight and any little misstep on the grind fight can cost you minutes rather than seconds. Just trying to find the thing. You really want to be staying on step right at this point. And then also, you know that you've got some very technical battles coming up. Unfortunately, the first battle we're going to fight here actually isn't very technical at all. It's kind of a scary scripted fight against Edge's parents, and they waste a lot of your time. It's one of those things where if we could remove this fight from the game, it would probably save 2 minutes and nothing would really change. But because Edge is like a new character, we got to do this whole plot development thing, and yeah, so we're gonna fight Edge's parents turn into monsters.
I mean, it makes sense because we get him so late in the game. We got to kind of pile all the lore in short order to make him, to actually give him some depth.
It's true. I mean, he comes off to me in the text kind of sounding a little overly, but hey, I mean, that's 1991, and they're converting from Japanese with really little English experience. So I'm very proud of this game's text for what it is. It's just kind of this fight in general is one of my least favorite in the game, simply because if we could cut this thing out, we would be so close to sub 3, so close. The world record right now is by the Roth, which is, I think, middling 302, I want to say. My PB is a 304.20 or so. And third place actually hasn't been contested for a long time. Penguin will get on that someday, I'm sure.
Yep. The Roth has first place with 3 hours, 2 minutes, 31 seconds. Rivers McCown is second with 3 hours, 4 minutes, 14 seconds. And bronze is No Cash, who has a 3 hours, 9 minutes, and 20 seconds. Our runner here, penguin8r, is fourth, 3 hours, 9 minutes, and 59 seconds.
Just cut the sub 310. And yeah, so this fight is basically just a glorified inventory swap around. Be using the animations of the King Queen to move Blizzard Spear onto Kane, put Blizzard Sword onto Pal Edward, and so on. It's just kind of a nothing fight. The reason I say, by the way, that third place has been uncontested is because when No Cash got that record, they were still running the pure edge strats. So since the route has changed, not many people have been able to best that time. But it's kind of eminently boppable, and kind of the what's a good word for this? Like the meme lore right now is just kind of who's finally going to take third place. All right, so the Ruby fight coming up here. There are a lot of different ways this fight can go, because generally speaking, Glare is going to one-shot somebody, and kind of the way you have to play it is, okay, well, how am I going to react to that? Because it can be any of your 5 party members, and depending on which one gets sniped, there are different recovery strats. Normally, what you'll see from Penguin here will be a dose of Blizzard Spear with Kane jumping, Dragoon Edward. Edge will be casting Flood. Tifa will be casting Ice 2. And Paladin Edward will be either using the Ice Brand or kind of covering and healing, as well as Ultras here. But Edge, Dragoon Edward, and Tifa will be doing most of the damage in this fight because they're all acting on that elemental weakness of Ruby against ice. What you can tell from that sound was that was not the run buffer the Penguin was looking for. unfortunately. This is one of the tighter windows of any run buffer on this run. And so this Ice 2 is going to get off, but and Kane, and Dragoon Edward Snipe is kind of the worst case scenario here. So he kind of had to hold on edge there. Normally you can kind of fit a second flood in if you're lucky, but he kind of had to rig it up a little bit. And so kind of in recovery mode now. As you can see, Tifa takes a hit too. At this point, though, what really matters is the damage from Dragoon Edward. Dragoon Edward, with the jump command doing like 5,000, is by far your biggest damage source, and it's sort of what you want to see the most of in this fight, unfortunately. So I got a Glare that killed Paladin Edward. That could be interesting. Okay, good. He was able to make Paladin Edward stand up again. Because Cecil's levels are kind of very precise and finicky at the end of this run for kind of where you want everybody's relative agility. But Penguin got it done. Good stuff, even if it was, a little slow because of the run buffer. And now we get to the part of no64 that's like one of the dullest parts, where we're running around doing a bunch of cutscenes. So Scala, you got anything to say? Lady, do we have time for you to fill?
Oh boy, one of my favorite things. So anyway, y'all, you're watching RPGs We Love To. This is a week-long RPG-only marathon that's being put on here by us, the RPG Valkyries. We are fundraising to help some of our Valkyries attend RPG Limit Break in May. Our wonderful Valkyries, Sparkover and Silverfire, they're going to be racing Dragon Warrior Randomizer for RPG Limit Break. RPG Chick and Keishura also are backup runners, so we want to make sure that everything that they need is taken care of. And then I believe myself and Natara will also be along doing volunteering positions and helping out with some of the other runs that are happening, such as Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise. We have plenty of incentives for y'all to donate. We have 2 left for this run, which is naming incentives for Fusoya and for Edge. Currently, and I will double check, make sure this is correct. Yes, currently Edge is going to be named Anchor, all capital letters, and Fusoya is going to be named Edward. So if you would like to change that, all you just have to do is donate and indicate in your donation what you would like your money to go towards. Don't worry, even if you forget, we are very good about double checking and making sure with you. After this run, we're going to be having Vagrant Story and then Swords and Serpents, both run by the wonderful Dragon Dark. For Swords and Serpents, you can donate to name the party. Currently, they are named Dragon Song, Ultros, and Phoebes. And then after that, Sparkover, she'll be doing Dragon Warrior, the vanilla game. And if you would like to, we have an incentive to bring the princess to the Dragon Lord. After that, we then have Final Fantasy Mystic Quest, which is a race between RPG Chick and Calm Lamity. You can upgrade that to be a 100% run. Right now, it is a any percent run. Also, you can name Ben. You do have 6 characters there if you'd like to name Ben. And then I'll talk real quick about the 3 runs coming after that. And later on that afternoon, we will have Secret of Mana, which is going to be run by Yagamoth. It's going to be 1 player, 2 characters. We do have a very special incentive for that one. For $200, we will have a hand cam be on screen so that you can watch and see how Yaga actually manages to do this really, really interesting run. So I would really suggest that some money go towards that as well. You also get to name the boy, you get to name the sprite, and you get to pick Yaga's weapon of choice. Following that will be
please.
Which one are you which one are you rooting for? Rivers. There we go. That's a tongue twister.
I'm rooting for the dwarf to get out of the way. No, I'm sorry. I was waiting for a second. What's going on?
Well, I thought you had a weapon of choice for Secret of Mana. I get all excited.
Oh well, I mean, it's got to be the sword, right?
I mean, it could be whatever item you want it to be. If you want to make Yaga play mainly with the boomerang, you can have that be what happens. And then after that, we'll be having Deltarune, where there is an option to upgrade that to be a Jevil % run. If you've never seen Jevil %, it is absolutely worth your time. It is a wonderfully fun and complex boss battle, and totally worth a watch. And then finally, for the last one that I will hype up for now, as we finish up the story, and we get to see our dear friend Vani again. We'll be having Final Fantasy Legend 2, which is going to be a race between myself and Invenerable. It will be the return of the bad palettes. If you watched the run back that I did for Speedrun Ragnarok, we have a lot of fun with the fact that we can load custom palettes into our Game Boy emulators. And so this time around, you can decide which one of us will have to suffer the bad palettes, and it could be neither of us. It could be just one or the other, or it could be both of us. And for every $20 that incentive raises, we will have to swap palettes. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And thank you so much, Tina Hacks, for that resub and letting us know that both of us must suffer. So anyway, I will turn it back over to Penguin Rivers and Vani as we continue our way back through Final Fantasy IV.
You know, one thing, just when you were listing off those incentives, I was thinking when you, for Final Fantasy Mystic Quest, yes. I want to say the character limit for the name there is 8, not 6.
It's, I will double check that. I will double check and see. I do have, I can double check that. So I will make sure that we have that correct. So that way, if you want to name someone Edward and then also put an exclamation point at the end, you will have that option.
That's really not a wise suggestion, Scala.
Of course it's a wise suggestion. I mean, it's either going to be... it's going to end up being Edward versus Ultros.
You're probably right.
We have decided who the best boys of this marathon are, and it's Edward and Ultros.
Natara's influence continues to grow, folks. Anyway, let me catch you up on the story before we go back to this real quick. Basically, the reason why there's such a cluster of cutscenes right here is something that kind of might have gotten glossed over a little bit as we were kind of recovering from the technical difficulties, which is that Penguin warped in and took the Dark Crystal because of a glitch much earlier in this game. So normally you would have like cutscene, dungeon, cutscene, and instead we get cutscene. So right now we've got Vani doing work on these airships, miraculously recovered in very short time, and we have lost our boy Dragoon Edward, which is actually for the best for the party long term, but short term seems like a blow. Bonnie, how'd you get so good at working on these airships?
A lot of offline practice.
You ever work with anybody named Edge?
Yeah, maybe.
It's kind of a punk.
You too?
Not the Edge.
I couldn't resist, I'm sorry.
So yeah, the gist of all the storyline right now is kind of, oh, well, the airship can't fly over magma, but we can fix it. And then, oh, well, the airship doesn't have a drill. Well, we can put one on. And Bonnie's just running around, running himself silly, trying to get all this set up. Being, in a way, kind of like the Donatello of this run, where, like, if something went wrong for the Ninja Turtles, they were like, well, Donatello, you want to invent something? And then Bonnie was like, sure, yeah, I can do that. So finally, we're getting out of the underground with this one cutscene. And we'll then suddenly find our next vehicle, which will be the big whale. bad encounter, though.
Yeah, I lost step route somewhere. I'm not sure where. I'm just gonna reset before we fly back to the guy.
Probably in that cave room. Now that I think about it.
Which cave?
The weapon shop. But yeah, as we were talking about for a while, the step route, the main reason to step route is to make less encounters appear, to make more optimal encounters appear. But for no64 in particular, there's one specific fight we're looking for in a room to grind on, which is the searcher that summons a D machine. The D machine gives more experience than any other fight in this game, as far as something that you can respawn over and over again, and it's by far the easiest way to get levels. So when Penguin says that he's resetting, he means that we have a reset manip set up as a backup as well. So he will be trying to hit that fight from the reset and figure out where he is from there, basically clearing the step route of this run entirely. So from now, praying from everybody actually got us this big whale that was underwater, and we're not going to question this. We're just going to take it. We'll be heading to the moon, and the moon actually has some walking involved. But the very middle of the moon, there will be a big crystal palace where we meet our last character of the game. And Scala, we should note that the incentive will close pretty shortly then.
Yeah, and we did have one more donation come in. Again from this Shala person, who simply said, "You know what? Name Fusoya Pengu."
I don't think I've ever been a mop before.
I mean, there's a first time for everything. So if you do want to change that name, you have only a little bit of time to do so. We're going to go ahead, pick up Fusoyu, and then we're going to be renaming both Fusoya and Edge, and that will clear out the incentives for this game. And thank you so much to everyone who has donated so far. You all have been absolutely fantastic.
Was that a too much free enterprise landing, Penguin?
Yeah.
So there's that. There's in the vanilla game there you actually have to walk these paths in the randomizer that we created. We kind of eliminated all this stuff, make it a little bit easier for everybody. But yeah, that's one spot where you can't walk down from, and you've got to follow a very specific path in the vanilla game. The oft-forgotten moon passage that actually has one trap chest in it, so has some relevance in free enterprise, but not really that much. And we're about to run into Fusoya, or as Scala wants him to be called, Penguin.
Oh, we did get a last-minute donation. Oh my goodness. Oh, however, it is not for this run. We have the wonderful Justin, MDP, wants to start putting some money towards Final Fantasy Legend 2, and to make both me and Invenerable suffer the bad palates. So I will take care of that for you, Justin.
Agree to make them suffer. So the story of this game, which is going through these text boxes very quickly, is that we learn that Fusoya is the Moon Guardian, and Cecil, who was his father, was a Lunarian as well, a Moon Dweller. So he's kind of a half breed. I think he's referred to in later versions, but at this point, we learned that Cecil has some vested interest, and Fusoya is like, "Hey, what's going on down there? I think I should help you guys out." And you're like, "Yeah, you've got like 900 HP, and you're amazing right now, and we all suck. So please help us." All right, last like 50 seconds, I want to say, for renaming both Edge and Fu right now. As Penguin's about to be able to get in the Lunar Whale and fly to the Hummingway Pillow Fort, where he will get the chance to rename eventually once he finds the right one.
I know it's one of the fast ones, but they run around pretty quickly.
Yeah, you know, it's funny when... Oh, yeah, good.
So here are the names. So Edge will be named Edward, and this is the one Edward that I do support, so that is his actual name. And Fusoya will be named Pengu.
That's Pengu.
Yep, you got it. And again, thank you everyone so much who donated towards all those incentives. You all are absolutely fantastic.
So
wait a minute, was there not someone that donated for Anchor to be Edge's name?
Yeah, Scala, I'm pretty sure that Anchor was the winner.
Oh, actually, yes, Vonnie, you're correct. It is Anchor. I'm sorry. Thank you, Vonnie, for keeping me straight. Anchor, all in capital letters. Thank you, Vonnie. I got so used to all the Edwards.
Yes, yes, I could see where you would have kind of Edward overload.
Yes, but there we go. Now we are all correct. Thank you all again, and thank you again, Vonnie, for making sure that we kept everything in order.
So there's an opportunity to have one less Edward on the board, so I'll take it.
In the old no64 routes that involved you picking up elixirs from the shop, this was actually like a really tough spot to route out as far as steps, because steps that you take in that Hummingway Pillow Fort actually do count. And what happened with Penguin there means it probably is for the best that he had to reset anyway, because trying to chase around that one, trying to find that one that actually lets you rename everybody was a very big pain there. But yes, thank you to everybody who donated during this run. There were a lot of Edwards. Somebody was named Rivers, I think. I don't remember who, but we did a good job, I think. And I've got this Anchor, so I'm really happy about this Anchor. Really happy that there's somebody that probably not named Edward. Of course, all your donations are going to a great cause, helping the Vox get to RPG Limit Break. So please keep them coming.
So do we want to talk about why this giant exists in the story?
Why does it exist in the story?
I don't think there is any good reason that it exists. It's just kind of there, left by someone ancient, I think.
I mean, ancient is such like a comparative term in Final Fantasy IV, because technically I think didn't Kluya design like the big whale, and like hasn't that been like buried for like a long time? I have questions about Lunarian longevity, basically.
Kluya is kind of this game's Deus Ex Machina, and that anything that can't be explained normally in the story, they just answered it, oh yeah, Kluya did it. And then and you'll see all of our characters joining together to help fight the giant. A lot of them are named Edward. Some of them aren't, but for the most part, they're all named Edward. Let's just go with that. And so Penguin will be dropping down into the giant with his crew, thanks to some help from Vonnie. Vonnie always riding those airships.
That's how I roll. So one thing that I always liked about being in the giant is that when you go into the different sections, just like you would in any dungeon, and it tells you like what floor you're on and maybe what room you're on. Here it'll tell you like you're in the chest, you're in the arm, you're in the lung, or whatever the different here you're in the neck, now you're in the chest, things like that. All the different anatomical parts of this enormous robot.
Yeah, that's some good lore. That's something that I hadn't thought about in a while, but definitely it does contribute to your feeling of you're actually finding your way through this giant. I agree, Vonnie. So we are about one room away from the main grind room of this game. What will happen kind of coming up is that you'll see Penguin start rearranging his party in kind of an optimal formation that we've discovered over the years. It's not always perfect. It's kind of a little iffy at times, but usually works out. You'll have Fusoya in the middle, our boy Pengu, and Anchor on top. And look, he's already mostly there, that stuff, but kind of what he'll do is start putting equipment on everybody who he's bought stuff for over the course of the run, but never really gotten everything in the right spot on. So Pengu will give up some of his good equipment, and Ultros will take a lot of it. Ultros will take the wizard robe as well that we bought earlier in Dwarf Castle. And at the very end of all this shuffling around, we will be underflowing Pengu's MP so that we have enough MP to get through the entire grind fight. And then we'll be saving and resetting, I think, unless Penguin found something in that walk. And from there, we will actually begin trying to find the grind fight.
Yeah, it's 182 extra steps to be required to reset again.
EvidPen asking if there are any donation incentives still relevant to this game. Unfortunately, no. We just cut off our last naming for any characters in here. But there are still plenty of incentives coming up for lots of runs throughout the marathon. So you can definitely take a look at those.
Yeah, we have plenty of hype incentives coming up. Next one of naming incentives is going to be Swords and Serpents. Vagrant Story is the next one, then Swords and Serpents. And then we have things for Dragon Warrior, for Mystic Quest, for Secret of Mana. All of those have different incentives you can donate your money towards, and we'd be happy to process all of those for you. Anyway, I'm going to let y'all explain the beauty that is the grind fight.
Sure. So right now, Penguin's got this chart open from it's actually located on ff4.exident.com, which is kind of our grind fight chart finder. And so from the first encounter that he gets, he knows what kind of steps he needs to take, what kind of room he needs to be in to actually find the thing. And so he's just going to be walking around trying to see what pops up. We're looking to see a searcher and 2 beamers. The beamers are going to get killed pretty instantly. So that must not have been one of the ones that was indicated on the chart, but he's still looking for it. And once he finds that fight, he's going to enter the actual grind, which is kind of complicated, and I'll let it breathe a little bit before we get there. Ooh, a strike first. So So there's different kind of setups that you need depending on what role you get there, be it strike first, back attack, surprise attack, whatever. And to kind of set things up in the optimal order, for a strike first, you need to have that lid 3 go off early on. So at this point, we kind of want to manufacture a turn order, and that turn order is basically going to be Pengu, Tifa, Ultros, Edward, and then Anchor. The way that optimally works is that Anchor will punch the Searcher, causing the D Machine to be summoned. Pengu will cast Weak on the D Machine. Tifa will attack the D Machine, and hopefully Ultros and Edward will both be able to get life potions off on the D Machine, doing that Vitality glitch you saw on the Dark Imps on a much broader scale here to get, I think it's 40,000 experience per D Machine, maybe a little bit more. So as you can see, that first cycle was pretty flawless. The second cycle is kind of where things get a little iffy sometimes. So we'll see what kind of pattern he gets. What we're looking for mainly is we don't want to see that text box pop up with the identifying object as Tifa is attacking. If that happens, then sometimes she can jump her attack ahead of the turn order, and then the D Machine will counterattack, and things can go really, really wrong. Thankfully, avoided that. So far, the grind fight looks really good. And so from here on, there shouldn't be a big problem. You can delay a little bit on these turns of Tifa to make sure you're not popping into a wide open box, the text box there. So what we're trying to do here is we're trying to get either 17 or 18 D Machines dead. At that point, we'll have accumulated enough experience and from both the D Machines and the Searchers and the Beamers to get Ultros to level 48. Why is that important? Because at level 48, Ultros will learn the White Spell, which is how we're going to be trying to defeat Zeramus at the end of the game, through that spell. So once Penguin has killed enough of these D Machines to do that, you're going to see him kind of systematically kill off his own party, weak the Searcher, and then have Ultros do the killing blow. Because experience in this game is shared once the fight is over, he can't have anybody else alive. And by doing this, he also goes into something called the Shadow Party, which right now Edward the Dragoon is part of. The Shadow Party gets all the experience gained from the entire party. So if you put the big number on Ultros, it also takes all that experience and puts it onto Edward the Dragoon. So the ultimate goal of all this grinding is to end the fight with Ultros at 48, Kane at like 48 or 49, or sorry, Edward at 48 or 49, and that way the two of them alone will be enough to carry you through the Zeramus fight, as well as have Ultros help you through the next two fights, which are still a little bit frightening even on their own. Penguin, by the way, did a great job on that grind fight.
Yeah, there are plenty of opportunities for that to go sideways and have your turn order get all wacky, but yeah, that was handled very well.
So prepare for your stream to be a sequence of Ultros gained a level, Ultros gained a level, Ultros gained a level, Ultros gained a level, Ultros learned blank for a lot of this actually.
Well, while Ultros is gaining all those levels, we did receive $50 from EpiPen, who would like to put their money towards the Mystic Quest upgrade to 100%. So we're already about halfway there, and that sounds really fantastic to me. And also, thank you so much, Invenerable. Oh no, you don't have the meats? Were there problems? I'm assuming there were problems. But anyway, thank you all so much for everyone who's coming over from Invenerable's stream. Invenerable, I would love to inform you that at present we are both going to be suffering the bad pallets.
Yes, thank you, and Ben. So, Penguin, having done this fight very well, now comes into kind of the final gauntlet here at the Giant. Starting with the Four Fiends fight, what you're going to see him do is something that takes advantage of how this game deals with counters. Mainly, this game decided in its infinite wisdom to make HP refills become counters to attacks. So, because the game doesn't really register if something gets reflected off of a wall, if it counts for the purposes of refilling that HP pool, what Penguin is going to do is reflect, after the first couple of hits here, pretty much everything off of a wall. And if he does it right, we will only see Ruby very briefly or not at all, and he will be able to kill the elements, all of them, in one little wipeout here without really having to deal with anything too bad. You see the wall go up on Pengu here, reflecting Fire 3 because the Mylon Z form of this is very weak to fire, and Cure 4 because the Mylon Z form is also undead and weak to cure spells. So the two of those will do a lot of damage here. And like I said, by the time the wall wears off, the only real question will be if we've done enough damage enough to kill it or not. If we haven't, then Penguin will be able to end the fight with a direct Ice 3 to Ruby. All right.
Still got the pretty quick kill.
Nice. So that was the quick kill. No extra spell needed there. And that is Elements. So now Penguin will be healing up portions of his party, getting ready for the CPU fight. The CPU fight is very complex in a way. Kind of the way we're timing this is we want Ultros to be able to have a reflected white spell hit off of a wall onto the CPU. And right before that, we want the Meteor from Pengu to go off. You see him underflowing here so that he has enough MP to make everything happen. And from there, if there's not enough damage, there's a series of little ATB tricks you can use to kind of get around back to Pengu to do a virus or something if you really need it. Sometimes you don't have damage just to outright kill without having to worry about that, but usually you need like one or two other attacks, be it a Dancing Dagger Dart from Anchor or a Edward Dwarf attack or something. So this is one of those fights that's a little finicky, but generally not that hard of a fight. You just have to time this opening Meteor wall wipe sequence well. So there you see the Meteor go off, followed by the reflected white. Got a pretty decent roll there. Not perfect, but should be able to make this work off of reflect here. And yeah, that last nuke should take care of the CPU. Pretty nice sequence of fights there. Those are not easy, by the way. Those are actually kind of tough fights. So good work there by Penguin, and we are almost at the end of the run. So, Scala, while we deal with this 1991 cutscene that isn't really fun to watch at all, do you have any announcements to make? Anything you want to say?
Well, right now I'm all caught up on donations, and thank you again to everyone who has donated. Just a reminder that after this one, we'll be having Vagrant Story, and then after that will be Swords and Serpents, and we do still have the naming incentives open for Swords and Serpents. And then it will be Dragon Warrior after that, then Mystic Quest, then we've got Secret of Mana and Deltarune and Final Fantasy Legend 2 and Final Fantasy 1 after that. We have lots of great games that will be coming up for your Wednesday here doing for RPGs we love too. And thank you so much to Moobot for coming in, explaining why we're doing this fundraiser. We are currently raising money to help members of the RPG Valkyries attend RPG Limit Break in May. Sparkover and Silverfire are going to be racing Dragon Warrior Randomizer for RPG Limit Break, and both RPG Chick and Kingshura are backup runners for that marathon. Yes, it is Vagrant Story, and then Swords and Serpents will be right after. Yes, you get some really fun back-to-back runs there. And we are very excited for that, and I do hope that y'all will give a very warm welcome to Dragon Dark when he starts that off. That's pretty much what I have for right now. I think we'll probably get our way out of this giant and back to the moon.
Scala, do you think that you have messed up Vagrant Story, or I have miscalled somebody Edward more times during the stream?
There's definitely been more Edwards than Vagrant Stories. So I would say probably Edward is in the lead.
Woo! We got this, boys. We can take this the rest of the way. Let's do it. So story-wise, kind of the plot of what's happening at this point is we find out that Golbez is Cecil's brother, which, of course, is not in any way related to Star Wars, and you can be prosecuted if you say so. Cecil, at this point, Paladin Edward at this point, points out that there is no safe return from the moon, and so he kicks both ladies off of the big whale, which is not very smart considering that Ultros just won the last two fights. But okay, we'll go with this for a little bit. And then, story-wise, they get to the moon, and then all of a sudden, both ladies are actually there, and they don't care what he thinks, and they're coming anyway. So, very empowering. So, Vonnie, I know you don't really know a lot about the end part of this game, but do you have any impressions watching it now? Do you have any impressions from when you're playing it as a kid or anything?
Oh, certainly. Yeah, I mean, and certainly I've watched a good number of no64 runs, so I mean I'm familiar with this part of the game. Just being able to discuss it at the level that you do, obviously, I fall quite a bit short there. But I am looking forward to this final fight because watching it with the Rosa strats is it's edge of your seat stuff. I feel like you're walking the racer's edge much more than you are in let's say X-Cal strats. So I think everyone's in for a treat watching this, and I know Penguin has the chops to be able to pull it off.
Yeah, as we were talking about earlier in the stream, the Rosa strats are something that came about only in the last couple of years. When they first came out, they were very risky the way we designed them. And so a lot of people saw a lot of runs die to this weird strategy, and they were like, why are people doing this? And then it got the top two times in no64. Nobody really says that anymore. But kind of the way this is going is Penguin is coming down the wire here. He's going to pick up like one or two items along the way to boost Rosa's magic power, and then we're going to be trying to do that reflect thing that we did against the elements to Zeramus, so to speak, and trying to dodge his own HP refill and try to get around his own reflected his own counter. Sorry, not reflected, and the way to do that is by having Rosa leveled up fully and basically kind of berserking Kane. And this fight, as Vonnie said, it's kind of a damage counting thing. It's edge of your seats. It's also one of those things where if it goes wrong, it blows up in your face. You can lose 10 minutes or your whole run entirely. So it's one of those things where even though we've really worked on this a lot over the last couple of years to make it more viable and reliable, it's still pretty scary to see.
Found a secret gold stash right there. Did not actually know that was there. I should do that more.
It's very, very helpful at this point in the game for all the shopping he's got left.
And thanks to Inven in chat reminding me to pick up the white shirt. Forgot that a couple of runs, and it cost me a few minutes to go back for it. Walking in this lunar subterranean is definitely not fun. The enemies here are quite nasty.
Well, Penguin actually got named for Fusoya, so in this case, it's his own retirement savings. So he's doing okay. Yeah, as Penguin was saying, the walk down here is kind of annoying. Once you get to the core itself, it gets really annoying. But at least here, there's really not any danger of a back attack. Inside the lunar subterranean itself, there isn't really a kind of an option for back attacks, just the way it was coded. But the monsters in the core are so fast that it doesn't actually matter if they back attack you. They just, they can hit you for like 6,000 damage combined to your whole party, and then you're just like, what the heck just happened to me? Oh, you should have grinded on those.
No weak spells right now. Reduce to low level.
Pretty is worthless. So yeah, as Enman pointed out in the chat, to kind of remind Penguin, the white shirt is the big prize here along the way that we actually got out of our way to pick up. The reason it matters so much for this fight is not only that it has good magic defense, but also that you get the plus 15 to Rose's willpower stat, and her willpower stat kind of drives how effective not only her pure spells are, but also how effective white, the holy spell that we're going to be using, actually is. So picking it up is not only a matter of like trying to protect yourself, but also it's what you need to be able to do enough damage to actually finish this fight. The DJ noting in chat that you're dropping your retirement savings, Penguin. Funny enough, there was at some point talk about routing this game in a way where you would be able to avoid the GP drop runaway messages by spending it all somewhere. I don't think we ever went anywhere with that, but it's something that we looked into because that actually does take a lot of time up. He's like losing maybe a second and a half every time that happens.
But then when it comes to subsequent boss fights, you're going to be getting some of that gold back. So I would think the problem would just persist throughout the run.
Yeah, I'm talking specifically for the subterranean. Sorry, I wasn't very specific.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Oh man, I was all excited for inverse money routing.
Yeah, that's what makes everybody excited. When you play FF4, it's all about that money route.
And like I was talking about the 64 door glitch earlier, where your in-game timer is one of the important factors for making it through. Your GP value is also another important factor for making it through, such that if you choose to dupe either the Shadow Shield or the Iron Shield in the beginning to get all of your cash, which each sell for different values, you have to be particular with what items you sell in what quantities in order to get yourself to or I'm sorry, what items you buy in order to get yourself to an appropriate value for you to make it through the glitch without getting stuck.
All right, almost to the core.
And lots of these finger fights. Wish I was playing for Enterprise.
And with us being so close to the end of the run, like I said, I was hoping that before we defeat Zeromus, that we could get to the $2,500 mark. So if you would like to help me help my dream live, I'd say you've probably got about 10 or 12 minutes-ish to make that happen. So be sure to look at those donation incentives and get it to something that you would really like to see. I'd love to see that us eclipse the $2,500 mark before the end of this run.
I mean, we only need about $40, and I would love to see $40 come in before the end of Final Fantasy IV. I think it would be very fitting and kind of cap off what has been a really fun run.
So yeah, you saw that red D fight pop up on the screen. That's the one we're talking about as kind of a major. Here it is again, actually. Kind of the major time loss in this section. One reason the Rosa route is actually able to exist is because we can usually, going for a PB or something, not resetting to do the grind, we can kind of manipulate how many of these are around, and we want the answer to that to be 0. But if you happen to be offset count as Penguin was and reset, then you open yourself up to this risk, and they are very fast. They hit for a ton. And you pretty much have to heal after you see one, because otherwise the next one will wipe you out. I'll tell you what I'm going to do, Vonnie. I'm going to donate the Medio amount.
Oh, I like it.
Ooh, this is spicy. I'm all in on this.
Now it's not going to be $99, but I will donate the $9.99 if it happens.
Ooh. I'm excited now.
So if anyone wants to match me in that donation, then we can probably troll RPG Chick effectively.
We
and
can.
Get to Vonnie's number at the same time.
Ooh, I like this. I like the combination of both trolling and fulfilling dreams. Yes, Wells, I am with Wells. Wells has the right idea, as always.
Yeah, I'll get right on that from my writing money.
Alrighty, I believe this is the last screen or the last room before we get to Zemus's throne room.
The Zemus Zone.
The Zemus Zone, of course.
I'll explain the Zemus Zone as we're kind of going through there. That was actually the original name of this part of the lunar subterrane, was these last few floors. People went searching through the dummied out content of Final Fantasy IV. They found it was actually called the Zemus Zone. And when you entered, he would have taunted you for entering the Zemus Zone. And so that's where we got the name Highway to the Zemus Zone from, because I thought it was just really entertaining to find that was this weird hidden part of the game. And if nothing else, we in the Free Enterprise community love all the weird hidden parts of the game.
Yeah, it's that is a very cute one to see, and I don't know why they took it out, because clearly it would have fit kind of that whole 1991 tackiness so well.
So we're looking for their double Medio cast, or which cast are we looking for, Rivers, for the donation amount?
I'm taking the Pengu solo Medio.
Okay, so Pengu solo Medio. Okay.
So in Venerable making another reference to what happens when you do no credit warp. Without getting too far into it, there is just an absolute laundry list of goofy things that happen on your way into this cutscene here, and you see that what's supposed to happen. You're supposed to have Gobez and here Pengu with your Fusoya. However, when you do it with the with the 64 door glitch, what ends up here is Gobez and Sid. And there is what we call the medio game that ensues in those runs, because when Sid casts medio, he does it with Sid's actual magic power as opposed to Fusoya's. So instead of it being, at 9999 or somewhere close, it's usually somewhere, roughly around 2000, which is significantly less. So, that's what that reference is there.
And as always, you never want dead people to start breakdancing. It's bad news. Happens a lot. If you see it, talk to somebody you trust, because they're about to become an evil spirit. All right, what will the amount I'm donating be, Pengu? Tell me. $9.99.
Is it not
There it is.
$9.99 for Pengu? So, yeah. So I know Golbez can be lower.
See, now if this was free enterprise, Golbez would have gone and revealed those true colors.
Hey, we did it.
Yay, and thank you, Rivers, for the $9.99 donation.
This localization is always really fun to watch, so it's the me you fools part always cracks me up every time I see it.
I was really sad that Legends of Localization, they didn't quite manage to finish up their really wonderful in-depth series about this. They've been working, they did do, I think, all of Final Fantasy VI. They did about half of Final Fantasy IV, and it's very, very insightful, the kind of changes that happen between Japanese and English, and how there are some parts that were clearly translated by native speakers and some that are translated by non-native English speakers. And they've done their best to kind of explain as best they could some of the changes that have happened, even in later versions of the game, such as the GBA PS1 and DS releases. It was not Ted Woosley. I will say that this was not a Ted Woosley game. He came in after Final Fantasy IV, so let us at least get that one straight.
The Ted Woolsey defender has logged on. Nice.
I do defend Ted Woolsey because he had to do a lot of stuff with very limited amounts of time and space, and the amount of work that he actually managed to do, and the way he added a certain level of charm to some like the Final Fantasy games, like Chrono Trigger and Secret of Mana. I give him credit where credit's due. That was not an easy job. And in a lot of cases, he did do the best that he could. I can see why there are people who might take some issue with his work, but given the constraints he was working in, I think he did a really good job. And yes, hero number 9, if you would like to match River's donation, it is $9.99.
All right, so you're seeing Penguin running away here. This actually saves 12 seconds because of we timed this out one time over our no-CW run, and I actually entered this fight before Fred Coughlin, and Fred Coughlin got a better time than me. And it was because he was running away here. These little sweat bubbles that the characters all have actually add lag to the screen, and it's 12 seconds worth of lag over the entirety of all this text. So that's one of the really kind of bizarre and easy ways we found to save a lot of time. The fight itself, you're about to see it start. Got a Crystal Berserk Dragoon Edward here. Dragoon Edward is going to be the bulk of our early damage in this fight. And once his turn pops up, you're going to see us flip his Gungnir spear off for the Ice Brand. The Ice Brand actually will not count. It will never actually update, I guess is the better way to put that. So what we're actually doing is making it so that Edge can throw the Gungnir while we still do Gungnir damage with the Ice Brand on, because the game doesn't properly realize that it's been updated. And the kind of ultimate goal of this is that Anchor will get 2 darts out, and Edward the Dragoon will start attacking full force. Big Bang 1 will wipe pretty much the entire party except for Ultros and Edward. At this point, Tier 4 is going to pop out for Ultros, and then we're going to do in quick order a wall and a white spell. Even though the white spell isn't part of the damage that we're kind of counting here, the way we want it to work is that if white directly targets Zeramus, he winds up casting a weak spell on you, and the weak spell, since you have HP leak because of the Big Bang, would instantly kill whoever it targeted. By doing this, we're able to avoid that weak spell. And you can see the timing-wise, we just got that white in right before Black Hole was supposed to go off. So he's going to read this roll and decide what to do with Edward's next turn. Edward can either attack or parry. I think he probably will attack here, but I'm not positive. I haven't been counting with him.
I'm gonna attack. Seems like Kane has low rolls too.
Did not push. So that's kind of one way we kind of work with damage certainty in this fight. And Edward has made his last noble sacrifice here, throwing that elixir onto Ultros. And now Ultros will get the reflected white, this reflected virus from Zeramus. And we will do at that point 1 more direct white and hope that we've done enough damage to go over the 61,000 HP threshold.
There it is.
GG.
GG, Penguin8r.
GG!
Thank you. I was a bit scared there if the white roll throw up. I was worried we went quite good enough. Unfortunately, it was.
Yeah, that attack probably weighed you just over. that was a smart move there for sure. So yeah, if you came in late on this, basically the way we do that fight that way is that we don't want Zeramus to ever trigger his HP refill, and kind of by timing it just perfectly with that reflected white, we're able to do just enough damage to sneak over the threshold and kill him before he does it.
We also did have a GG donation that came in from DJ ATC, so thank you so much for the GG donation, and we'll work on getting that put towards an incentive of your liking.
Alright, so, Penguin, how'd you like that run?
Can't complain. Finished underestimate. First thing went alright, a few trolls, but not too bad.
Well, Penguin, as it turns out, that is actually going to go to your choice. So you have $16.33 you can put wherever you'd like.
Alright, I'll get back to you because I have not looked at all the incentives.
That is totally fine. You can either contact me or next host up is going to be Mayo Mike, and he'll be able to take care of that for you too.
Alright, well, I think that's about it for this run. My name has been Penguin8r, and thank you to the Valkyries for running this great event and including me. Thank you to Rivers for doing all this great commentary. He's a very accomplished runner of this game, so if you want to see more FF4 content, be sure to follow him. Thank you also to Von. I know he's done a lot for this event. I believe he has his own run this Friday, running Utopia, so make sure you check that out too.
I'll actually be running Final Fantasy Adventure on Friday night.
Thank you for the
Something a
correction.
little different.
So make sure you check that out, and give Bonnie a follow too. And yeah, thanks for watching.
All right, we're going to be swapping over in just a bit. We're going to be getting ready for, and I will pronounce it right, and get it right this time, Vagrant Story by Drakendar. So we'll be up in just a little bit, y'all. We'll probably go over to our hold screen, and there will be a restreamer change. So if the stream goes down for like a moment or two, don't worry about it. We know it's just all planned. So keep yourselves nice and cozy here this evening, and we will see you all soon.
Stay Grant Vori.
Man, Rivers, why you gotta?
Because.
Because.
You know exactly the answer to that.